aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like that's just not.
Hello.
Sorry, I was yelling at Marcus.
It's okay. Guys, we're back. It's new comic book day edition for Marcus is in a silly mood today. I love it.
I'm so tired.
I like it.
I'm
You're
so
tired? Is that what it is?
That's what it is. I'm loopy from work.
Brother Marcus is here.
Hi.
The hot dog Paul is here.
I was very
Guys, this is new
Gotta lean in a little bit.
special new comic book day edition. Guys, let's talk about what you got. You got some goods over there. Marcus, you want to kick us off?
Oh, yeah. I guess.
Did you want me to go first? I can go first.
Yeah, go
You can
first.
do whatever you want.
Oh, that's nice. He's going to punt.
Yeah, Frank, get it together.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I am going to be talking about one of my favorite trades of all time. I'm being made fun of. That's okay. Mr. Miracle by Tom King and Mitch Gerards. It's really phenomenal. It's one of the best comic runs, limited series, ongoing I've ever read. I think it is the perfect comic to suggest to someone who wants to get into comics. I think it's the perfect comic to suggest to people. Mark is over there messing with the mic. To suggest to people who have been reading comics for decades. I think if you told me that you thought this was the best comic ever, I wouldn't argue with you. That's how good this comic is. I didn't have a chance to read very much this week, so I had to go, okay, what do I want to talk about on the show this week? And it was this, Mr. Miracle. We haven't really talked about it yet. It's Tom King, as I mentioned, who is fantastic at taking these characters who maybe aren't the most mainstream characters. He's a little James Gunn in the way that he writes. He takes these lesser-known characters like Strange Adventures, Mr. Miracle, things of that nature, and he makes them fantastic. Human Target, he's very, very good at that. And this is the quintessential Tom King, Mr. Miracle book. It is that good. The art is fantastic from Mitch Gerards, and the layout is super easy. I know I've talked to a lot of people, mainly my mother, who I've like, hey, maybe you want to try reading comic books. She loves reading books. I'm like, do you want to read this? And she goes, the thing she struggles with reading comics is following the bubbles. He's like, I don't know which one to read after another because of the way this comic book is laid out. It's a 12-panel page, I believe, throughout the whole thing. And it is super easy to read. It is fun. It is harrowing. It pulls on your heartstrings. It's awesome. It's action packed. It's Frank's giving me the head nod. Yeah. It's everything.
It's
you
my
want
favorite
from
Tom
a comic
King
book
thing.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. And I think that if you even kind of want to read a comic, you should read this one.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if soon or pretty soon we won't see maybe an absolute format edition of that comic as well as Human Target. A lot of people are talking about that because
Human Target's very good.
It's the same team up, and the artwork is phenomenal. It has that very retro kind of James Bondish kind of vibe to it. You know,
I think that's fair, yeah.
You know, so it's really good. It's really good. Yeah, highly encourage.
What do you got over there, buddy?
What do I got?
Oh, sorry, Paul. Do you want to?
So,
tell Marcus to go.
So, Marcus, it's your turn.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to expound more on. That.
No, it's fantastic, and I mean that's you read it.
So the
I'm
lesser,
not gonna say anything.
I was going to say the less you know about it, the better you.
Yeah, that's why I was not
in.
giving any plot points. It's
right.
It's really good.
It's really good. Okay, all right. So today
we're good at this.
Today I focused mainly on some indie stuff that really hit hard within the past month or so. Peter Milligan, he is a writer. He's been around a while, and back to back, he's been releasing AWA titles. Two of which, like, he just gave us a 1-2 punch. Basically, you have Absolution, which was my pick. As well as Sacrament.
That one looks really cool.
Yeah, so Sacrament is really good as well. They're both 5-issue miniseries. They both wrapped up. In fact, the trade paperback of Absolution just came out. I believe it was this week. It's waiting on me down at the shop. I haven't had a chance to pick it up yet, but it's retailing at $9.99. And honestly, you could probably buy it and read it within
some single issues cost that much nowadays.
Yeah, I mean AWA. They're awesome. It stands for writer artisans, I think, or I might have gotten artist. backwards, but
Something like that.
yeah, indie, really great indie label, and they're doing a great job. And so for the first one, Absolution, it's great. So you're following Nina. It's kind of like, if I were to put a comparison for, I may be dating some of you guys. So if you guys know the movie The Running Man by starring Arnold Schwarzenegger from 1987, so you're basically following Nina. She's a hired killer, but she's cybernetically enhanced, so you can actually see her. See what she's doing through first person point of view due to her cybernetic eyes, and she's connected to the internet. She's been granted a second chance at life if she achieves absolution, hence the title. And basically, it's her. You're following her around. You're seeing her for in her first person view, as she does various different various things to raise her absolution score, and it's a meter that goes up and down depending on the favor of her audience, her watching audience in internet traffic.
Oh, that's really cool.
So she's actually getting kind of like Booster Gold, that
Wow.
5-issue mini, where you
Yeah.
you actually see the comments, and they're like, oh, she should do this, she should do that. Oh, I hate her, she should die.
It reminds me of a sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. It reminds me of a much cooler version of there's a movie that came out recently where these like kids were streaming, and their chats would be like, you have to do this, and they would have to go around and do a bunch of crazy stuff.
Right.
I don't think that movie was that great. I think that concept is great, and it sounds super duper cool in that story.
And the art is awesome too. It's Mike Deodato killing it, and in fact, it's really good. It's really engaging, and so basically, she gets various jobs, and one of the main plots is her going after a guy who's a rapist and murderer. He's kind of up there. He's rich. He thinks he's untouchable. Kind of a younger spoiled rich kid, if you will. And she starts going after him, and there's a lot of subplot as well, and it'll have you hooked. It's very engaging, and with the fact that it's in trade paperback now, I have there's no doubt about it that you probably would read it in one sitting. It's great. And then
I think I'm gonna get that.
Yeah, it's really good. And then the second one, Sacrament. So this one is set in the future, and it's basically, I think it's the year 2399, and we're basically at this point, if I guess the closest thing that would be relatable is if you were to think of we're kind of in an era where it's like a galactic empire, so like Star Wars, if you will, where we have like an intergalactic dictatorship. Earth is pretty much no longer livable, and so humans have basically expanded out into the greater universe, living in various sectors of the galaxy, but religion has been outlawed, and so you have an underground kind of fish on the sidewalk sort of thing, where you have practicing priests who illegally still hold mass and communion and things like that. And it's really good because you've actually come in contact with some people who are actually possessed, and some of the higher ups in this military kind of hierarchy actually start seeking out some of the underground priests and say, hey, can you help us with this? But it has to be kind of like hush hush,
like under the table.
Yeah. Because they're having issues, and and so you get the mystical, demonic possession element of it. You get the temptation element of it, because you're following a priest who's losing his faith, and he also has kind of like, I don't know what you would call it, I guess like an apprenticed sort of priestess or nun. He has a nun assistant who's basically helping him, give, communion and all that kind of stuff. And so they go around and they hold these underground masses until they actually come in contact with one of the biggest challenges he's faced yet. And that, combined with the fact that he's losing his own personal faith, it becomes kind of like
he's losing his face too.
It is his face, yeah.
Face and his face.
Well, there's some demonic issues. Yeah, some of the art is just fantastic.
Sounds very cool. The cover looks awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. So he's having his own crisis of faith while actually still trying to practice, and his young nun assistant, is trying to keep him going. And she turns out to be pretty strong in faith as well. So it's really good. I don't want to give too much away, but it's also a great read. So both written by again Peter Milligan, and he's killing it, man.
That's cool
my
stuff.
God, it's good stuff. And then finally, I kind of, I'll have to admit, I did read. I got introduced to the world of NCAL very late in life, and I still have NCAL and before NCAL to read. But I picked up the new deluxe edition of Megalex, which just got a new printing by Jarodowski, and it has Beltran on art. And it is absolutely phenomenal. For those who don't know, Humanoids does a lot of the European translated comics. They bring them over here through licensing, and they do translations and all that. Our national treasure, Mark Wade, is a publisher of Humanoids, so he brings a lot of this stuff directly into the country. And this is set in the world of NCAL. I didn't realize it until I finished it, but so now I got to go back and read NCAL for sure this time, so I can maybe reread this. It'll probably give me
better context.
Yeah, it'll give me a greater impact. But it was still great as a standalone story.
That's good.
But basically, you're in a basically a planet-wide city, so kind of like Coruscant in Star Wars. And there's only two places that haven't been conquered by the pretty much this dictatorship that has mechanized everything. And it is the Kim Forest and the Dead Sea, I believe it is. And so it is a universe where every human has a mandated lifespan, and it's pre-programmed into them. You're not, all laws of nature are outlawed. You cannot reproduce the natural way. You're only reproduced through test tubes and chemicals. Everyone who is alive, they have to be on drugs. Some people might like that. I don't know, but yeah, everyone's you're literally the first scene is you're watching a bunch of clones of the police force that are being basically retired, and they basically load them all up before they explode.
Retired, interesting.
Yeah, because they have, when they're born, they're put little explosive devices in the back of their heads. So when their time is up, they just blow up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they gather them all up into this big this big like room, and then just before it goes off, or if it goes off, what have you, they get dumped into this huge grinder, and
Wow.
and then so the cycle of life, and then you see the clones coming out just like factories, new clones, fresh new clones, and so it follows one of the deviants
Sounds
that
like
comes
right up
out
your
of
alley,
this.
Frank.
And so you follow one of the deviants through his adventures, and he manages to escape because the deviants that are identified right away as they're being born are immediately destroyed. So but he's a giant. He's not the standard size clone for the police force, but he's a giant. He manages to stow away and hide and get around all the little safeguards because of outside distractions and what's going on the outside. And basically, and the fact that the guys who are doing the machinery that does the reproductive stuff, they're all stoned. Basically, they're basically... he manages to run into a young lady who's actually part of the resistance, and I would show some of the artwork in here, but it's her. She's beautiful. You get to see her in different. Anyway, so
anyways.
The art.
Anyway.
The art is phenomenal. I'll
Right.
just leave it at that. Beltran does an excellent job, and it's a powerful story. He basically gets in connection with this girl. They go underground. There's this huge underground movement into this kind of natural human city underground, and they basically try to do what they can to correct it. This, along with Techno Priests and some others, have been reprinted by Humanoids, so I'm definitely going to be checking those out. I just have the before NCAL, and this guy, so I need to definitely get on the ball, because these are they're great, easy reads. They're captivating. The art is gorgeous. Honestly, the only con to this would be the price, because this particular printing retails at $59.99.
Jeez.
So but it's I
think it's worth it.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. I'm glad I took the risk on that one, and definitely I'm going to be following Jarodowski, his stuff more too, because it's good. It's good to get the European different,
Sure, you get a different perspective.
On the way they do comics, their style and everything too, and it's very, very beautiful, very highly recommended.
Wow, those some that was all over the place. I
That
like it.
was very intense.
It's like, wow, I need a cigarette. I don't know what to say.
Oh yeah, when you flip through this, you might.
Guys,
I need a cigarette. He says.
I appreciate all of this, all of you.
All of it.
We will talk to you guys again next week. Be on the lookout for more videos from us. We've got some hot questions for the Quantum Mania coming up in about a month. All the things factoring into Phase 4 as well as Phase 5. We've got a live episode with a special guest.
Go check that out. That was fun.
And we've got of course, Run It Back. We'll be doing Run It Back. We're still doing that, and coming up, we've got a very interesting episode of Run It Back.
Yeah,
Thor: The Dark World.
That one's
But
fun.
guys, we'll talk to you soon. Have a great evening.
Love you guys. Thanks for hanging out.